啊，这都通最东这等的一起来一，我呢等的啥来呢？啊，配了真了，差等的真了来。We are the beaver people, and this is the symbol of the people that live here. My ancestors that goes back 10,000, 12,000 years ago. So when I painted that, it just kind of evolved, and you'll see all kinds of characters stuff happening to it. So the beaver is really one of the most dynamic, hard-working creature on the land. It alters the land. So we are very happy to be known as the Beaver Indians because we are like that. We are very studious too. We are hard workers and we make things happen. Living off the land, being part of nature. So this is where knowing and creating happens. And then the beadworks, as you've seen, all the beadworks, that's the expression of the women, the beaver women, when they create these beautiful colors. So the colors basically coming from the land. So any colors you see up there is coming from actual the whole land. So that's symbology behind that. So here again, so the beadwork and things, flowers and feathers come together, and we put some beaver words on it, like love. It's like nashti. If you love somebody or something, want nashti, that means very much I love you. That's what it means. Nashti, just the word itself means So on the other side, we are trying to bring more of the land and what it means. That these are the elders that spoke about these chonan. Chonan means wolf. And they're kind of the guardians of the land. So that's why sometimes when there's a call to kill them and stuff like that, people get upset about it because they need to live too. So that's why there's sometimes conflicts with laws and regulations. So when that happens, so chuan is like a bird. It's a kind of a creature bird, mystic bird, transformative. It's very similar to the idea of phoenix that transformed from the ashes. Well, we have a lot of stories like that, like Natane. Natane is a bird that, it's a mystical thunderbird. And I think 1910 or 1912 they actually killed the last living creature, like looks like a thunderbird. So research that, find out old ancient birds. There was a picture I saw in a newspaper, and there was about 4 or 5 guys holding this big mythical bird.
There's multiple pictures, multiple different kinds that they caught.
Yeah, and they were holding it up, and they were saying this is one of the last of the ancient creatures that they killed. I don't know how they did it, but it was huge. Like it was probably a span of 7, 8 feet wide. So it was huge bird. So anyways, we have stories like that where they come around. So this is about working hard today, preparing for tomorrow. Those are some of the principles that our ancestors, grandma and them talk about, is that if you want something in life, it's like if you want something in your life, go make it. You got your hands. So that's a good philosophy to have in your life, right? Because that's what you're doing now. You're doing something for yourself. You're going to school. You're having a job. You know, go deeper than that and find out why, and learn about plants. Kagale means the drum. So that's a drum is the most sacred of our symbolic concepts. If you heard some of the old songs that we still hang on to, it really connects us to our heart. Danetse is like your heart. Uzenzo, it means listen carefully all around you. Like right now, it's perfect space for the listening because you can hear the wind. The symphony of the tree is one of the concepts one of the elders talk about in order to understand the land, you need to listen to the symphony of the trees. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when the wind blows, the different trees create different sound. And if you ever go out in the bush and you go to different environments, listen really to the tree or the wind as it blows through cottonwood or just spruce trees and different things. It actually creates a really mild frequencies of sound that is more different. So that's what this is about. It's about the drummer hanging on to our ancestors' music and sound. The dreamers, Nachina. Nachina are people that are prophets. Prophets are ancient dreamers that actually in their dream can astral travel to the spirit world. I guess that's the best way to describe it. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, look it up. Put astral travel. What does that mean? Astral travel in the dream. A lot of indigenous people just kind of know this, but we need to explain it, and sometimes it's very hard to articulate it. So the idea of these songs that goes back thousands of years, hanging on, and that's the most important thing is this, is that only it's about when you take something from the land, put something back. You just don't take things forever. And that's one of the, I think, the biggest conflict with indigenous people and the industrialization of land is that the industrialization seeps no bottom. It just continues taking. And now we're in the world today, people talking about, holy crap, we got 5 years, up to 10 years max. If we don't change the way we do things, the world's going to, be in bad shape. Climate change is talking about, right? And then, like in Amazon, they're destroying the jungle at such an amazing rate every day that there won't be anything left. But at the same time, we gotta look back to the truth of all things we look for. What is the truth of our own being? And then listening to some of the ancestors to look at your dreams. So like you start to look at all the symbology of people inside the paintings, animals, all those things come together in kind of harmonies, leading us into a space here where we ask the Creator, whatever Creator or whatever your belief system is, you pray. Dalai Lama, those of you probably know about Dalai Lama. Well, they always talk about prayers of harmonies and frequencies, right? There's stuff like yoga, where if you do yoga, you'll see the chakras, all that stuff. Those are all part of ancient philosophies that's been passed on forever. And now everybody's becoming mainstream about it. So we are looking at those kind of things that pray to the Creator to watch over you daily. Look down on us and watch what we're doing. Give pity on us and those things. It's all about humbling oneself in the creation. So that way your ego doesn't get too big. See? When you think that your ego is going to get big, then you are going to think that you're indestructible. So a lot of the industrialized capitalism is like that, right? So we got to try and balance that out. Here is Gema, the original bush camp, lean-tos, fire, people warming themselves by a fire. That's the original Gema portal. It's basically a portal. There's good energies everywhere. And if you are not too sure what I'm talking about, look into sacred geometry. Sacred geometry tells you in the energy field of nature, there's portals that are very strong energies. And they have different frequencies that will guide you to different ways. Good example is northern magnetic compass always goes to the north. Okay, why that happens, right? So that's part of the discovering Gema. In the Gema, our ancestors been here before. They tell us stuff already, they know about things. Like for example, this space here, our ancestors been around for a long time. There's pack trails that goes all the way. There's a Charlie Lake Cave that's 10,000 years. They're still here. We still remember that. That's why when we do honor it, we always honor our ancestors and say, you know, the things that they have left us, which is the wisdoms and knowledge to, what did the elders say? What was his main topic? What was the lessons of the elders?
Giving thanks.
Huh?
Giving thanks.
Giving thanks. But what else she was saying? Love, sharing, kindness. Right? So then when you start to look at some of those words, it starts to evolve to all cultures. You know, like all cultures start to think about what is the best way of humanity? Through kindness. You get more out of things by kindness, right? So it starts to show up what is the common denominator between all of us humans. That we are human, we get more out of being kind, sharing equals love. And then, so this one here is a symbolic context of going into the spiritual world. So these what our elders say is that when our when our body leaves our spirit and leaves into the spirit world, it does. There's three things that happen. Four things actually. The final stage is you go into the other dimension. But the first part is that you become washed. Now, when they say, "Oh, you become washed," okay, what does that mean? Become washed. So after talking to a lot of people, we discovered that being washed with love, purification, is what they were talking about. That's when your spirit comes through all this different times, spaces, and everything. It attaches itself to lots of negative energy and those kind of things. So when you're washed with love, it wipes everything out. It's like smudging. That's another part of smudging. We smudge to clean negative energy away from us. So that's what happens. The next phase is that you go into a circle and you look at all kinds of images of potential how you want to look. And then I'm thinking, well, why would you want to look if you're in spirit? How you want to look. But then in truth is that if you are purely washed with love, your true self shows up. Your true entity of spirit shows up. And then you become whatever it is. Then you go into another place where you're all kinds of costumes and everything, clothing, and then you decide how you want to look. And then you'll select something and then purify that. They say it's not like our clothes today, but it's like our skin. But it's like a uniform kind of thing where you become how you want to present yourself. So then it's like you ladies in your outfit, right? When you go to work, you put on this because you want to present yourself to the public as a ranger. So the same thing happens in the spirit dimension. You present yourself, put on your best clothes, the best thing that represents your spirit, your time that you were, and then you put that on, and then now you're ready to meet your ancestors, all waiting for you. And then bam, it opens up, and then you're into another dimension. That's a very important piece of information I shared with you because not very many people get to hear that. But that's the kind of dimensional things we hear about. And finally, over here, we got the spirit. It's funny how it all comes together, isn't it? The spirit, the creator, all that is about true prayer and going to Kiyama, all the Kiyama experiences, the living. This is exactly this. And when we come together to share that with people, people are feeling rooted, connected, energized, and transformed. And then all of you will have those feelings when you fully understand something in a way that will forever alter you. And this is the final concept of all of that coming together in a philosophy of the Dreamer's philosophy, which I call. This is kind of the portal of all those pieces I talked about that comes together for us to be dancing in a circle. When people dance together in a circle, you have collaboration, you have partnership, you have friends, family, everybody there to support one another. If somebody falls, pick them up, and you become part of that. So when I was a child, my grandfather and grandmother used to tell me stories about only not Sadabati. Those are the animal people. Those are the Wolverine and all the different Mosquito Man. All these different characters were told because they want to teach character archetypes. So if you're not too sure about that, look up Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell is one of the philosophers that talk about archetype characters of a hero's journey. Hero's Journey, Man, 1,000 Faces. There's many books like that. He was a great philosopher that talked about the monoculture of people, and every culture in the world has stories about the hero's journey. And all these legends is all about that. So then when you talk about you want to be like a Wolverine man or a Beaver woman or other characters, you look at the pros and cons of those animals, people, and say one could be a very negative force on you, the other could be positive. And we're in that spectrum which you like your life to be. Right? And then at one time people were all warriors. Everybody was in a survival mode because there was change of people coming around all over the place. And then one of the big things up here is that there was wars between Crees and Beavers. For years there was a lot of skirmishes going on. Finally, down the piece, the warriors, all the warriors of the Crees and the Beavers came together at the same time at the river. So then everybody said, oh, okay, what do we do here? So whoever goes first obviously will be a disadvantage because you're in the water, and then these guys will be coming down on you. So then they talk to each other quite a bit, and finally they said, okay, send your best warrior, we'll send ours, and then whoever brings it will win, and then from there we'll decide what we're going to do. So in that process, the Beavers sent out their best warrior who knew the power of the swan. The Crees sent their best warrior who knew the power of the beaver. So all day long they were fighting and trying to pull each other across, back and forth, back and forth. So that was the story that happened, and after that they made peace. So that's why it was called the Peace River. So from there they started to have dreaming tradition that two brothers started to dream. So they started to have the dreams, and they said, well, there's a different way here. We can actually go to a different way. Maybe at the same time, 1700s, that's when people were coming in like missionaries and stuff like that. So it could have been in and around that time there was influence of other way of being, but they started to have dreaming things coming to them, and they start the dreaming tradition, and that came from the ancient time of the giant animal days. So these on top are symbolic musical notes of the beaver songs. So each one is like a drum beat, and there's notes in between them. It's like a vocables, noting. So that is the power of that story. And here, today we put it into a modern context where you got to stop, look, listen, learn. So stop, look, listen, and learn. It's part of our safety, especially for you ladies when you're out in the bush or a park. You always got to stop, assess your situation, you look around, okay, what's going on, you listen, and then you learn what's happening. Then you can be able to react or respond accordingly. So basically that's the whole story of it. These are pillars that talks about trail to heaven or spirit world. So those two comes together like that. In there, once you're in that circle, you go inside into the spirit world, up to here. And these beadwork are part of our symbolic understanding to the relationship of every bead is part of storytelling. And those of you that may have participated in the beading class today, you would see the patience required. So what that beading does, it teaches you to be patient and to be careful about what you do. So a lot of the young ladies are taught by the old grandmas. And a lot of times you talk to my sister and she'll say, you know how many times I had to take this apart? Because grandma would say, no, start again. She kept doing this till she learned the technique finally to get it right. So, and then with that, we're talking about the earth, animals and friends, about people. It all comes together in this symbolic themes. Look at that. I love spiders because they're the greatest designers around. Natane Aji. There's some stories about Natane too. That one day the young thunderbird was given power of a thunder to strike. So then he was really one of those persons that when somebody gets into power, they kind of bully themselves. So he was playing a role like that, throwing down lightning bolts down to the earth. So all the people got together and said, wait a second, hey, why are you doing that to us? You're hurting us, you're creating fires and everything. So then you got to do something about it because you're hurting our people. So that's what they're talking to Natane about. So then they had a meeting, and then they decided to banish that boy. They gave him lots of warning, and they said, you're using your power too much. You're misusing it. So from now on, we're going to take that away from you because you won't be able to strike, but you can make noise. But he was banished basically. So every year they went looking for him to find out where he went. So in the far distance, you can hear a little rumbling, and then that one you heard is probably the mother because it was really loud, but then you heard a big crack. That's the father calling out for his son. Hasn't seen his son for a long, long time, and they want to reconnect. To this day, they're still doing that. So that's the story of the thunder, Natane. So that kind of gives you an idea, just kind of roughly, the whole concept of what the beaver philosophy of life is.